Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would chat with you guys a little bit about half sets. So let me get a sip of my water and my radio voice going on. Let's talk about this. And this is a correction video. This is not the first time I've done this. I mentioned something, oh gosh, it must have been 5 years ago. Maybe 4 years ago, I discussed this topic of half sets. It is something some other coaches I know out there use. And I was saying, look, when you're counting your total sets for an exercise, you can take muscles that are primary movers, but they're not the main focus of an exercise. Okay, we can do that and count them as half sets towards your total sets. And this is a nice idea in theory, but the problem is it creates an absolutely ridiculous amount of confusion, to the point where the worst case, I decided to actually make a video dropping it when one of my clients was taking the programming I was giving him, wanting to add his own stuff, and he sent me this whole list of, he had calculated what he thought were half sets for every head of every muscle in the body. And I mean down to the point where he had 3 different exercises that he thought were half sets, was that he was breaking it up into upper chest, lower chest, all 3 heads of the tricep, and was adding it up as his total sets. And I'm just like, look, you just made this needlessly complex. And I realized that to me, it seemed like a simple concept. It's a simple concept. For example, today I did, and this video will probably be up tomorrow, 4 biceps. I did 3 sets of weighted chins, 3 sets of barbell curls. Those are all bicep exercises. Okay, I did 2 sets of incline curls. That's 8 sets. That's a lot. Considering, I train upper body twice a week, that's a fair number of sets. But I also did do some upright rows. And people would say, would we count upright rows as a half set for the bicep? Well, maybe we could. Maybe. But does it matter? Meaning, when we're worried about the level of nuance, so why are people doing this? I mean, it would matter if you have a really, really high exercise variety. I could see that. Okay? Let's say, things that were potentially hitting biceps or chest or whatever. Let's say in your routine, you had chin-ups, you had pull-ups, you had rows, upright rows, 2 different types of curls. Man, you might be trying to figure out how many total sets your biceps got. Okay, you might be trying to figure it out. And it can make things really confusing at that point. But if your volumes are really low on the main bicep stuff, you might want to think about this. Okay, you might want to think about this. But here's what I would ask you. In determining if a muscle is if it counts towards your sets, I might ask, do you feel the muscle working or not? Okay, so let's say you're doing upright rows. Do you feel a lot of bicep on upright rows? Yes or no? How about your normal barbell rows? A lot of guys, man, they'll say, barbell rows don't do much for my biceps. Others feel like they do. How about you either count stuff as a set or you don't? I would argue if you feel your biceps on an upright row, sure, I'd count them as a set. Now, that might mean, though, in your case, though, you might end up doing more sets for biceps. That's okay. Right? And I think when we start discussing these really high volume programming, what people don't realize is how easy it is to get to these. A lot of times when we're doing movements, and I've realized this with myself too, when you're doing a wide variety of exercises, yeah, your set count gets higher than you think. Like people watch my lifting today, and they might conclude, well, he did only 3 sets for his pecs. I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to completely disagree with that. Because I feel like my tricep extensions, I do them with a pullover effect. Do we get some chest activation? Yes. I think we should count that. That's why I tell people getting to 20 sets is easier than you think. So anyone who's thinking, I need 30, 40 sets, when they're even looking at this high set training, I don't think they realize that when you're counting total sets, you should be counting everything that works the muscle. Like if there's any significant stimulus, you should probably be counting it. But people say, well, maybe that's not the best stimulus. Okay, but if you have a muscle that is lagging, you're going to want to do more direct work anyways, right? If your biceps are lagging, you're not going to rely on upright rows to develop your biceps if you need them for more volume for them. You're going to add some type of curl, aren't you? Right? Realistically. So when you start doing the total math, yeah. So some of my muscles may be getting still 20 sets a week, even on the more moderated volume, because I do think conventional deadlifts build quads, so on and so forth. Are they as good as a squat or a leg press? No. But this whole idea of half sets, it really gets ridiculous. You know, what I would say to people is count everything. Count everything towards your sets. You know what? Upright rows, barbell rows should count towards your biceps. But you could also look at some of those movements and go, they may not be the best stimulus. You do need to make sure that some of your exercises, no matter how you count your sets, are really good, amazing stimulus. You should probably be doing some very focused curls if you care about your biceps, somewhere in that programming, okay? Just like if you want more delts, I'm doing 2 delt exercises every week. Upright rows, lateral raises. But for someone who doesn't care, would a lot of these things that some people would count as half sets, will they still cause good growth? Yeah, they absolutely will. They're not half sets, they're real sets. Pull-ups hit your rear delts. Rows hit your rear delts. Arguably, they hit your side delts to some extent. Bench press hits your front delts. So, you know, we could get to a point to where you really just say, look, these things are being worked. These exercises are hitting them. They're either a set or they aren't. Okay? And if a muscle is lagging, you're going to want to make sure that some of your sets are more focused sets on those areas. You know, perfect example that I would use for that, rather than worry about half sets, just work those areas harder. That's it. So in my case, I know my arms need the most work. My lats, from people who've seen me in person who know aesthetics, it's the internet and pictures from a distance, video doesn't matter. My lats are my largest muscle in my entire body. My whole back is. And I've been told this by multiple people at this point. They're like, no, dude, your back is freakish. They're like, it doesn't even look as big on camera as it is. It's like, okay. So in that case, the only thing I bother to do for lats now is chin-ups. Why? Because my arms need more work than my back. So therefore, I simply pick exercises accordingly. Would a pull-up still work the biceps? Yes, it still counts as a bicep exercise. We just argue that for someone who needs more bicep work directly, a chin-up would simply be a better exercise. I'm not counting it as half sets. They're still sets, they count. But, you know, again, in my case, at this point, I'm only doing chin-ups for lats and, of course, deadlifts, right? That's it. Because I need the bicep work. Of course, I'm doing sets of 10 with a 45-pound plate on my chins now. So, again, stop all the nonsense with the half sets. Forget I ever mentioned the topic. Just count stuff as sets. Either you think it works the muscle enough to stimulate growth, in which case count it as a set, or it doesn't, in which case count it as 0. The whole half set thing, I think, creates nothing but confusion. And it creates a lot of questions. Should I count this as a half set or a whole set? When you're at that point, we don't need that. That's nonsense. You're just going to confuse yourself and create questions that you're not going to have the answers to. Either it works the muscle or it doesn't. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.